order the July 21st meeting of the Thornapple Kellogg Board of Education. Could we roll call, please?
Smith,
Here.
Brock,
Here.
Wenger,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Hilton, Stanton, Hess here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Welcome. I'd like to invite you to stand and we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adoption of agenda. Know of any changes or suggestions for the agenda, so I'd like to entertain a motion.
I would actually like to change, take out the new hire McFall Elementary Principal in B5 and move that position for discussion under its own action item, 5E.
Is there any support for that? Okay. With no support, it fails. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion is seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Student recognition. We have some students to recognize tonight. Always our favorite time of the meeting.
So while we're walking up at this time, if we could have Coach Maggie Wilkinson come on up front and center, please. And we've invited Maggie to come and take a few moments and brag about some of the great things from center. Mark will tell you where front center is.
Doesn't seem center to me.
It's our
Grew up
privilege to have
here.
several athletes here, and with that, we're going to turn it over to you to say some good things about them and to hand out a certificate, and then we'll shake their hand when you're done.
Great. Well, we only have one here today, but I'll talk about the season. We moved in track from D2 to D1 this year, and my girls are used to going to state. Last year we had 5 girls go to state in long jump, high jump, 4x4, 300 hurdles, and 100 hurdles. And so they like to go. So this year they got a little nervous because we would move to D1. And so we're running against like East Kentwood and stuff like that. So, but our conference is not as competitive this year. So we got to move the girls all around. So they got to run 4x2s and 4x4s, and they got to run, instead of 800s, they got to run 200s. So we got to each meet, kind of move them around and do different things with them. And it was really, really fun. So we were conference champs again this year. And we went to regionals, and we took second in regionals against East Kentwood, which is wonderful for D1. And 4 girls went to state this year in the 100 hurdles, 2 girls in the 300 hurdles, and the 4x4 team. So we went to state at East Kentwood, which was great. It's in our backyard. And Brooklyn, who's here today, who's going to run at Grand Valley State next year. She ran the 100 hurdles against girls. She runs in indoor all the time. She went to nationals this year a couple different times for indoor and outdoor season. And she took 9th in the 100 hurdles, so it was amazing. She had 2 PRs on the day and got some little bit of extra money from Grand Valley because she was wind aided and then not wind aided, so a lot of things going on. And then we ran the 300 hurdles after that, and she took 7th in the 300 hurdles, so she's all state in the 300 hurdles. So she's up on the board 3 times. She qualified for state 4 times, but she literally broke her leg during regionals and took 1st in the 300 hurdles during her sophomore year. So it's pretty impressive. So, and last year she was all state in the 100 hurdles and 300 hurdles and the 4x4. So then we move on to the 300 hurdles. She takes 7th, and Mia Hilton took 9th. So this is really, really good. And Mia has placed in all-state in 300 hurdles in the last 3 years also. And then we get to the 4x4, and the girls are, it's fast. They got to move. We're in the first heat, which is the slow heat. And I go, you guys just need to run. We worked on handoffs. I like pushed them and moved them and said, you just have to run. So they ran their hearts out. They ran 7 seconds faster than any of their times during the season. They had a school record by over a second. They ran 4 minutes, 0.57 seconds. And they took 12th at D2. It would have been first in D1. I mean, we took 12th in D1. It would have been first in D2. So they were excited. They took the school record. It was a fantastic day. So they're amazing. They are great to work with, and Brooklyn is here for her certificate. So the girls you have are Brooklyn Harmon. You can shake their hand. And then Mia Hilton, Peyton Gator, and Amaya Gator were the other 4x4 girls that went. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you. We appreciate you having us on this beautiful night.
Okay, public input. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Members of the public may address the Board of Education during public comment for up to 3 minutes. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and asked to state their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. As a reminder, all comments shall be directed to the board and not to staff or other participants. No participant may speak more than once. Participants may not behave in a manner that is disruptive to the orderly conduct of the meeting. The Board of Education does not respond to public comment. The superintendent will follow up with speakers when appropriate. So at this time, we'll begin public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
All right, good evening. Dave Lonsma, Precinct Delegate, Yankee Springs Township. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate all your heavy investment on this board. Congratulations to the girls' track team. Wow, it's awesome. And welcome to our new superintendent. Looking forward to this. Thank you very much.
I'm just doing, oh. That was it anyways.
Anybody else?
We're having a technical difficulty with the time.
It's under 3 minutes.
You could have done jumping jacks around the back.
Yell louder next time.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. And that was a good reminder to me that I should have welcomed you, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And think of it, we've talked so many times that it doesn't feel like you're new anymore to me, but welcome.
Thank you.
I feel like we owe him like an applaud or something because we totally missed that concept.
I do not like attention on me. My wife will tell you that. I can publicly speak and do those things, but attention on me, I don't like.
Okay, consent grouping items. All consent grouping items will be adopted with one motion as a roll call vote. Is there anything anybody would like to see removed for separate consideration from the consent groupings?
The minutes.
The minutes, okay. Anything else? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt, I'll accept the minutes from from the consent grouping items? Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt the consent grouping items with the exception of the minutes. And, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? We need roll call, please.
Brock,
No.
Wenger,
No.
I'm sorry,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Hess, no, Price,
Yes.
Hilton, oh, and Stanton.
Yes.
Okay, the motion was to adopt the consent grouping items with the exception of the minutes. And it wasn't to remove the minutes. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
So you're agreeing to break OMA? Is that what I'm understanding? Because at the end of the meeting, there was dialogue before we adjourned. So that's what you're agreeing to?
No, he's speaking just what the motion was about, what we were voting on.
That's what you were voting on. That's what why I was taking the minutes out.
Well, we weren't voting on the minutes in this motion because the minutes were removed from the consent grouping items. We
Yeah,
were
but in
voting-
order to talk about them, you have to remove them.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, we do.
Okay. I just wanted to make it clear.
So was it your understanding you were voting to not hold them from consent grouping items? Is that what? I just want to make sure you're understanding.
I
what the
didn't know
motion
we were
was.
gonna talk about the minutes. I guess that's where I was unclear, because it's the first time that's happened, so.
Yeah, so the motion was not about whether or not to remove the minutes. It was about whether or not we approve the consent grouping items, with the exception of the minutes. So, is everybody? Okay, and, so how many were in favor?
It was 3-3.
I'm sorry?
3-3, 3 yeses, 3 nos.
Just to clarify, were we approving everything but the minutes, or were we approving to approve things without the minutes? I'm confused.
It was, we were approving the consent grouping items without the minutes. That does not mean that we wouldn't approve the minutes as well, but that would be done in a separate motion. Because they were removed by request.
I thought the motion was, we were voting on the motion to remove the minutes.
No,
So the minutes are automatically removed?
the minutes are removed. If anybody from the board wants an item removed, they can be removed by one, board member's request.
Okay.
So,
Just for clarification, that didn't require a vote to
I'm
remove?
sorry, I can't hear you.
For clarification, that didn't require a vote to remove something from the consent grouping?
Yes, it does not require a vote to remove something from the consent grouping.
Okay, so right now, the motion on the table is to approve everything in the consent grouping except for the minutes, because the minutes have been removed based on a board member's vote, or, sorry, request.
That's correct.
Okay, I would then,
Wouldn't you still, just to clarify, you would have two different votes, one on the minutes and one on the bills? That's what he's saying. You're gonna have two separate votes. You have to vote on the minutes tonight. You can't not vote on the minutes, but you're gonna do two separate votes.
Yep.
Okay.
So, the minutes have been removed, so we were voting on whether or not to approve the consent grouping items without the minutes included.
okay,
Not on whether or not to remove the
Yeah.
minutes. So,
can we go ahead and revote then? Can we go ahead and revote?
yes, we can. Could we have a roll call, please?
Wenger,
Yes.
Brock,
Yes?
Smith,
Yes.
Hess, yes, Price,
Yes.
Stanton.
Yes.
Okay, we have to vote on the minutes separately. Is there a question about the minutes? Is there something missing from the minutes, or?
Yes. there was dialogue at the end of the meeting, and I think that that should reflect in the minutes, and so.
Okay. There was some dialogue, and it related to an item on the agenda later this evening, and that's about board committees or board officers, excuse me. Because I had informed the board that it was my desire to step down as board president and pass that to Derek, if that's the desire of the board, so we're gonna be talking about that. So that's the only item that's missing from the minutes. So we can make that addition to the minutes, correct, Erica?
Yes, we can amend that and then,
And then
They just-
approve the minutes as amended?
yes.
Okay.
Did that take place after you came out of open session and before adjournment?
After closed session, after closed session, and then before adjournment.
Somehow it was overlooked, so thank you for pointing that out to us. I wasn't aware that it wasn't there. And it wasn't an agenda item, it was just part of our board comments after the closed session. So, everybody's okay with the minutes with that amendment to it? I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Been motion by Winger, seconded by Brock to adopt or approve the minutes as amended. Any discussion on the motion? We need roll call, I believe.
Stanton,
Yes.
Brock,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Winger,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Hess, yes. Motion carries.
Motion carried, thank you. Okay. Board items for information, committee and liaison reported. I'm not aware of any committee meetings. Anybody else aware of any? Okay. We can move on to board officers. Like I said, a few minutes ago, I mentioned to the board that I think it's a good time for someone new to the role of president to take that on for a little while. And I would like to see Derek in that place, since he's the vice president now. I think that makes common sense, so I'd like to nominate Derek Brock to be the president from this time forward through this year.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded that Derek Brock be the next board president. Are there any other nominations? A motion that we close nominations? Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to close nominations for board president. So now to move the motion to make Derek the board president. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you. And that means we have to go through all of the, it's my understanding, we have to go through all the positions that.
Just the ones that are left,
Just the one vacated.
yeah,
Just the one indicated, okay.
tonight to a VP.
So, okay, good. So, so that means Derek, you're in charge now.
Yeah, oh.
All right, to complete this board item for action. Oh, geez, so official. Thanks, Rob. I am accepting nominations for the vice president of the board. I nominate Dave Smith.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? right, I will close nominations. Dave? You're our only guy. I'll make the motion to move Dave Smith to Vice President of the TK School Board.
Now I can second.
Motion by Brock, second by Winger. All in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item on board, items for action, are some new hires. Mr. Pouch, I believe you have this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Throughout the past week or two, there has been communication shared on this, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I haven't received any questions from the board, and it's been my understanding that past practices, superintendent does not go through each individual hire. So I'm happy to maintain that past practice, or if you would like me to go in-depth, I'm happy to talk 20 minutes about the great new hires that we have as well. So unless there's further questions, the information has been shared with the board via email, in board reports, and it's also in the board packet.
Any questions for Mr. Pouch? All right, looking to entertain a motion on the new hires.
I'll motion that the Board of Education approves Scott Sapanic, Ben Sleeman, and Elena Aarons for employment for the 25-26 school year.
I'll
Second.
support.
We have a motion by Smith and a second by Ms. Hess. Any discussion on the motions?
Yes, some people have said the person who will be nominated to get hired for McFall Elementary principal is a nice person. However, I received a letter illustrating a less pleasant side, revealing his emotional instability for fearing multiple imaginative situations within the school and the public, while making false accusations of board members he has never met, and local police enforcement that were asked by a parent of a child that says her child had been repeatedly bullied to the point her leg had been bruised from the hip down. The involvement of police officers does not equal harassment. They are here to serve and protect. These red flags illustrated inappropriate leadership for the safety and trust for all students and parents alike. I suggest we go back to look for someone who is fit for this position. Secondly, I applaud Rob because communication does not always come out that early. The board members and parents had time to think about things, give feedback, and send information our way. It's about checks and balances, transparency, and working with parents. That's it.
Thank you. This doesn't appear to be a roll call vote. Is that correct, Erica? All right. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Just real quick on that, I know there's a lot of work with the hiring season, so thank you to Rob and the entire admin team, Mark, our new director of HR, running through, I believe does this fill all of our open admin positions?
Correct.
Fantastic. Do we have any teaching positions still open?
We have high school Spanish. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you, Mr. Washburn. That just helps us set up for a successful year. So thank you guys for your work getting here. All right, on to our next item, purchase of early childhood center furniture.
Yeah, so I can take lead on this one. As you know, in our June board meeting, we talked about 4 classrooms getting $40,000 for a GSRP startup grant. It's come to our attention that all 8 will qualify. So 8 times 40,000 is 320,000. So great news on that front. We didn't anticipate the 4 that were already in our district would get that new funding, but since it's coming in-house to us, they said it does. So I'm going to take them up on it. So yeah, we have 320,000 to expend. This is the first part of us looking to expend some of that. This is for furniture in those classrooms. Amanda has done a nice job with her team, picking out furniture that they feel is needed for the GSRP classrooms. And as you can see, based on the quote, it's just north of our bid threshold of $34,000 and change. And based on that, we are looking to partner with, it's Omnia Cooperative Purchasing, and meets our bid threshold, or the bid requirements, and will be purchased from Holland Desk and Chair. So this is the first of some purchases. Obviously, if, you know, it comes to another threshold, you know, we'll be back here looking to expend that grant until we can hopefully capitalize on all $320,000 of the GSRP startup funds. So.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Background.
Yep, any questions? I do have a quick question for you. Are these replacing, is this a replacement or is this addition?
Amanda, you want to touch base on that?
Additions, fantastic.
So, yep.
Okay, great. Okay, board, looking to entertain the motion for the purchase of the Early Childhood Center furniture.
I motion that the Board of Education approve the purchase of classroom furniture for the Early Childhood Center from Holland Desk and Chair in the amount of $34,176.04, utilizing the Omni Purchase Cooperative.
Second.
Motion by Price, second by Winger. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, board. Item D on the board, items for action, the school bond loan revolving fund resolution. I believe you have this, Mark?
Yeah, so for most of you who have been on the board, this probably is very familiar to you. Due to that, our bonds are all qualified. They run through what's called the school bond loan fund. And have some notes. Sorry, I'm looking off my phone based on not, you know, pulling that up. But yeah, so all 5 bonds are through this. As you can see in the application, though, our current outstanding balance as of 6/30/2025 was $6,537,686. On that third page, there's a huge Excel document, and basically at the bottom right corner, though, you could see an amount of $1,771,983. The good news on that is all 5 of our bonds, qualified bonds, are now in repayment mode, which is extraordinary. So based on our fund balance of each of the debt funds, based on our payments and all the new money we're going to be bringing in through the 9.65 mils, not only are we able to meet our debt obligations for that year, but also to repay an additional 1.771 million. This is the second year in a row that we have been in full repayment mode, and ultimately just opens up doors in our future for our bonding capacity, and just a tremendous place to be with that. So this is just a requirement that every year by August 1st, the board has to take action to complete this application and submit to the state. So.
Great, thank you, Mark. Any questions for
Yeah,
Mark?
and at the bottom of it, just so you know, there is an interest on there. They have us calculating that at a 5%. That's what they say to base that off of. So that's, if you take the starting balance minus the repayment, that's a number, times that by 5%, you get that, I think it was 238,000, I want to say, or change. Yeah, 238,285, which projects a year-end balance at the end of next June of just north of 5 million, 5,003,988. So,
Excellent.
any questions on that?
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Looking to entertain a motion regarding the school bond loan revolving fund resolution.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the resolution and annual loan application to cover debt payments without levying additional millage, with an estimated amount to be repaid to the school bond loan fund of $1,771,983 in fiscal year 2026.
Second?
We got a motion by Winger and a second by Price. And this is a roll call vote, Ms. Hess.
Stanton?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Hess, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Wenger?
Yes.
Brock?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. This now moves us into the second public input stage. Is there anyone that would like to make a second public comment? All right, one more time. All right, we will close the second public comment. On to the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you, Derek. Today's superintendent report is probably going to look a little different than 6, 8, 12 months down the road, just because we have the opportunity to talk about a few things as it's our first board meeting together. Mark is going to pull up superintendent report slide here. We'll give him a second, but I know the first item on my superintendent report is just a huge thank you. A huge thank you to many of the staff members, all the staff members, and the ones that I've seen daily at central office at administration. So they truly have, I think we're up and running now, Mark. Oh, there we go. They truly have aided in, just from my end, a seamless transition. I can go one more. I got it from here. They've welcomed me with open arms, and it's been an awesome transition for me. A lot going on personally with relocating, getting over here, and you couldn't ask for a better staff to welcome you. And, a shout out goes to Mark. When Mark started in October, probably he never envisioned 8 months later he would be interim superintendent for a couple months. So I think that was a great call by the board. It allowed for continuity. It allowed for Mark and I to really hit the ground running shortly thereafter. I was formally hired by the board, and we were able to bounce ideas off one another. And kudos to Mark for doing a great job of communicating and keeping me in the loop along the way. It was 2 months that I weren't visible, but I was very in tune to what was going on due to Mark and Erica and their great leadership in the office. So I want to thank them for that. And then with that, as I said, the entire central office staff, there's a lot of learning that goes on. I've told many people that I'm very thankful that I know how to be a superintendent, because that really allows me to focus on the rapport side, the relationship building, and just get to know the people that I get to work with every day. So I'm super excited. There's exciting times ahead. And again, one more thank you to all the staff that have welcomed me with open arms. And Erica and Mark did a fantastic job keeping this district in a great spot in May and June. With that, I know my board updates include a lot of information as far as what's been going on, but it's also the right place here to let the public and the board know some of the things that I've been up to in my first 21 days here. I've been busy, been an exciting kind of busy, but as I said, because I'm comfortable being a superintendent, I could spend more time in this area than probably 4 years ago when I became a superintendent and was trying to figure all this piece of this job out. So I've had the opportunity to meet with 6 of the 7 board members one-on-one, had great conversations with everybody that's been here. One board member I meet later on in the week, so that's been great, getting to know you personally, getting to know why you decided to come onto the Board of Education, and just what makes you tick and what makes you wanted to run, or I guess everybody ran, nobody's been appointed, want to run for the board. So it was good to get to know everybody on that level. Had several other one-on-ones as well with many different staff members, whether it's been more formal in my office or just walking the hallways like I did today. And I had an opportunity to talk 45 minutes with a librarian about things that are going on. So sometimes just my random visits in the building, even when there's not many people there, there's still custodians. Maybe there's some food service popping in and out, librarian, athletic staff, you can still bump into people. So it's equally as important to get in the buildings. I say daily, I'm going to get up and go walk around. And Eric kind of looks at me, where are you going to walk around to? Nobody's here. Like, well, for me, getting to learn the buildings, and I just drove down that drive by the tennis court. I didn't know that drive was there. So for me, there's a lot that I can take in when there might maybe not be too many people here. So had an opportunity to meet with the nurses and talk about the programming that they have going on. That's been one blessing that came out of COVID, is all districts typically now have some form of nursing program. So that's been great. We've had several cabinet meetings where I've been able to listen and learn. Here's some past practice. Here's some things that went great. Here's some things that need to be tweaked. We have another meeting Wednesday, so we've hit the ground running with that. Negotiations is one thing no new superintendent really wants to walk into, but it happens all the time. So thankful for the experiences I have with that. Thankful for the work that John and Mark did. They laid a very strong foundation with negotiations. They have excellent rapport with both of the negotiation groups, and we were able to come in and talk about the great things we have going on, talk about our staff, and have good conversations, and we'll have an update on that later today, but I was thankful to be part of that. Met with many of our vendors, GLP, Truin, Huntington Bank. Had the opportunity, thanks to Eric, inviting me to Rotary, and got to talk about our strategic plan and some of the good things that we currently have going on, such as the FFA barn, and some of the good things that are yet to come. As I mentioned, building visits, and now I'm at the point where we're starting to get to know some of the Kent ISD staff. So, been an exciting kind of busy, and I'm looking forward to the relationships and working with the people here. Any questions on that aspect of the superintendent report before I move on to the next item? Another exciting time. Every county I've been in, from Sanilac, Newaygo, Livingston, Shiawassee, and Alberry, the county fair is one of the most important, if not the most important week that families block out. And I think in all of my stops, I've been able to, all but maybe one, I got to the Sanilac County Fair. I've been able to get to the fair, and this year I was absolutely impressed. Out of all the fairgrounds I've been to, I said it to Derek and Tyler when I was there, I think the Berry County Fairground stacks up, and I would say beats the Livingston County, beats the Newaygo County. I can remember the Sanilac County and Shiawassee County. So no disrespect to those fairgrounds, but I was just amazed at the work, the facility, the care for the campus. It was very nice. So it was nice to be able to see some of our students work. We'll call it quote unquote work that they do, because it is work. It's hard work. Every day of the year, all hours of the day, sometimes taking care of those animals, and got to chit chat with some of the kids, had a nice tour by Derek and Tyler, saw some other community members, other superintendents, had the opportunity to talk to sheriff department, just a lot of county officials that were there. So what a great event, and there's just no greater joy than when you go to a fair and you have the kids talk about their animals and the process that it takes to raise those animals. Their eyes light up, they shake your hand, they get excited, they could talk forever. So thank you to Tyler and Derek for taking time to tour Mark and I around the campus, and it really was, as you all know, I'm sure we were the last two in this room to probably ever go to that fair. You all know it's just an outstanding event for our students, and I'm looking forward to see where the FFA barn and that program growing, looking forward to see how that expands into a fair presence or an additional fair presence in the future. You know, ideally, it'd be great to, not everybody, you know, has access to the ability to raise animals to take to the fair. So maybe we'll now afford that opportunity to some individuals that maybe don't have that opportunity as that barn and program gets up and running down the road. Any questions on the county fair? Not that I can answer, but Derek and Tyler can. The next thing I have is Principal Peterson today was pretty proud, and rightfully so, of some AP scores that recently got released. And I told him absolutely I would share this with the board, because this is what it's all about. This is why we come in once a month, sometimes a couple times a month, and we have tough decisions we got to make. We have easy decisions we have to make, but this is one of the many things that drives us. Is if you just take a look at the 5-year snapshot here, it is basically showing the amount of AP students we've had, the number of exams, and then at the very bottom there, just the percent of students scoring a 3 or higher, which is proficiency. And that's a lot to brag about for Thornapple Kellogg schools. Is the AP program has grown to, I believe it's 139 students, 229 exams, and above all, you know, almost a 90% passing rate of our kids. So that's a testament to the curriculum planning that our staff is doing, the hard work that the students are doing, and just the wonderful things going on in TK. And Principal Peterson noted that that's hovering, I don't remember the exact number, I could look it up, but it's not that important. Basically, we're at or above where Byron Center is at. And he felt, you know, he knows the county very well, and that's something to toot your horn about when you can compare yourself or be at or above a district such as that. So kudos to that staff, good things going on there. One of many things we'll brag about in the future of good things going on. Any questions about advanced placement scores? Moving on.
No, just that it's hard to read being that small.
Yeah,
I'd like to see them close.
Yes, I will make sure I get this to you. This next one here, I'm going to rely on the board to tell me the direction you want to go with this. So as noted in an email communication, when Dave and Derek and I met, in April, May, I didn't really have a list of things that were important to me. I did my research already, and I was excited to be here. But one thing that was important to me was having a discussion on the superintendent evaluation tool. And I shared some information with you. I'm happy to go over it at the level that you want me to. There was a rubric there that kind of compared the MASB Advanced Ed tool and then the Collins and Blaha tool. And I said I'll explain my rationale for this. And I can give you the 30,000-foot helicopter view, or I can go as deep as you want to. But the 30,000-foot helicopter view is, I've been in education 21 years now, and a great deal of money, millions and millions of dollars, have been generated on evaluation tools, from superintendents to principals to teachers, to the point of, that's the self-funding model for some organizations. And there's other tools that maybe aren't as popular because it's not promoted and it's not a money-making tool. So Collins and Blaha has came out with a tool that is very simple for 7 different board members and a superintendent whom all have very different backgrounds to come together and to make sense in a simple 90-minute training virtually of what the superintendent is or isn't doing and setting goals and whatnot. The MASB School Advanced tool is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. If you look through that, the training is very in-depth, it's very detailed. It forces your superintendent to spend more time preparing for an evaluation than being out and about in the buildings, building rapport, mentoring principals, and being in the community. So, and my biggest thing is Collins and Blaha isn't a moneymaker. I'll just leave that there. So I'm happy to pull anything up. The reason I'm bringing this up now, if you want to talk in depth, I'd say let's do it at the August meeting. If you want to go through line by line and compare, I'll happily do that. You tell me what you want. It's just critical that here in the next month, we line up a training, because all board members, there's 3 new board members. By statute, all board members need to be trained on the evaluation tool. Collins and Blaha is going to be 60 to 90 minutes virtual. We could do it right here. The School Advance is going to be 6-ish hours, typically over 2 different occasions, and it's much more expensive. Collins and Blaha, they're a legal firm out of Metro Detroit. They're going to charge just the hourly rate for the lawyers that pop on the screen. So I'm just looking for feedback from the board on the direction you want to go, whether you looked over the information and you're good for me to move forward with scheduling, or you want to go through a few things right now if you had questions, or if you want me to walk you through the entire thing, I'm happy to do that too.
I'd just say that the material that you provided us was very helpful in understanding the differences between the 2 tools, and the one that we've used in the past as well as the one that you're suggesting. A lot of overlap, certainly, in topics. It's gonna be very similar, no matter what source, but at the same time, it did look like it would be more user-friendly, so appreciate the information you provided us.
I would be okay with moving to the scheduling phase. I think the evaluation tools, like Dave said, overlap in some form or fashion, but with the early experiences, I hope all of us have had with you, is you're pretty open to communication, that if we need to change or adjust something, then we can handle that appropriately. So I'd be okay with, and that was your request when you sat down with Dave and I initially, and I don't see why we can't move forward with the scheduling phase at this point.
Yeah, same here.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
Wonderful, thank you. I promise I can connect you with other board members, so I'm sitting here that when it's all said and done, you'll be thankful just because the process is better. And then it also allows for a similar process. We'll use that for the administrative team as well. They have an administrative tool, and we'll use that because that's an undertaking for principals having to put together their portfolio and whatnot. So very good. I will work on that, and we'll get a hold of Collins and Blaha. All right, the next thing that we have is Board of Ed governance norms, and this is, I get excited about all my work, but this is one area that I get excited about, and I sat here 3-4 months ago and said, you know, this is the place we're gonna start. So this isn't something that's gonna come up every single superintendent's report. Typically, superintendent's report is going to be all the wonderful things that I've been able to do over the past 2 to 4 weeks, and let our community know as well, and update the board and community that way. But I also believe that this is our first chance to be together, to talk about just some basic things to make sure the community members that are here and all of us at the table are just on the same page with a few basic principles. And as you saw tonight, it's hard to be on the same page. Not anybody's fault, but the minutes is a great example that I've lived this, I've been through it before, that we have policy on what should and shouldn't be in the minutes. So that'll be a future conversation of once we veer away from that policy, we have questions. Then we have what does get on the minutes, what doesn't get on the minutes. Well, we have policy that says action items are the only thing on the minutes, or certain requests by board members or administration. So a lot of boards have had this conversation of what goes in the minutes. So that's just another great example of why we have these governance norms conversations. There's no right answer. There's no best answer. It's just this board agreeing to those simple procedural things. And that was a great example to lead into this. Great conversation about the minutes. I wasn't here, but I picked up very quickly what was left out. So it's important that we have policy that reflects our practice and vice versa. So with that, really our learning objectives, deep down, I'm a teacher at heart. So I'm going to cruise through this in 10 to 15 minutes. Dave, hit me if it gets to be 8 o'clock, because I do get passionate about this stuff. Or I guess you're the president now, so Derek, hit me.
Dave's got a nice club on it.
If
That's
I
all right.
go too long here, but I'll cruise through this, and it does have a direct alignment with our strategic plan, communications and culture. As Derek hit on, it's very important that we all communicate, we're all on the same page, the public knows what to expect, and it has a direct impact on our culture and climate on a daily basis. So when we're done in 15 minutes here, you might not have it memorized, but maybe you already have it memorized. It'll be a good refresher. But as a whole, we have one veteran board member, and then we have newer board members. So, and then, as I said to many of you, let's just face it. As I said in my interview, we got to have real conversations. This board has seen more than most board members see in 6 months than most board members see in 6 years. And that's the cards that were dealt. We're moving on. No one's at fault, not pointing fingers, but we have to understand that those 6 months weren't normal either. That's not normal procedures and operations of the other 611 boards. They're gonna hit that blip at some point in time too, because everybody goes through it. So we're on the uphill track now. But with that, let's just take a minute and have an intimate conversation. I know Andy Engel is part of the search for the superintendent. He's contracted to come in, but I happily work for the board. You can direct me any way you want to, but my mindset is you don't bring a third party in until we know exactly what we want that person to do. For them to come in and talk 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes on governance norms, well, maybe it wasn't tailored to us. So he'll come in at some point in time, but let's have some intimate conversations first where we can tell him, here's what we want, or here's what we need, or hey, Andy, we got this. We're working through this ourselves. We don't need another wrench thrown in here. So you're going to see here in a minute, you're going to be able to find the functions, operations, and procedures of the Board of Education. It's important our community know as well. Most importantly, why do we come here every single month? Why does a board of 7 plus a superintendent and other administrative members come and meet one day a month or more? And then you'll be able to explain what to expect from me as a superintendent and understand the importance of following district policies and decision-making. So with that, we're going to pretend in a perfect world every new board member gets elected, they sit down with board president, superintendent, and policy 0142.7. We go through an orientation. We take 45 to 60 minutes, and we go through what I have highlighted there. 3 very important keywords. I'm not reading everything on here. Function, operations, and procedure. When you sit down and go through an orientation, which now I'm at 23 board members. I've worked with 23 board members in 4 years. 14 of them, I've had the opportunity to do exactly this. So this is something that I think is just very important for all of us. It has the open line of communications that we're all on the same page with operation functions and procedures. So with that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull in 3 different sources. I'm not going to read them verbatim for time purposes because I got 10 minutes left. But basically I took information from MASB, Michigan Association of School Board. I took information from the Michigan compiled laws, and then I also took information from, I'm drawing a blank here, sorry. Oh, our own policy. I should have known that one. And they all are centered around the same thing. What is the role of the Board of Education? So I put kind of the important stuff in purple, but here we're going to dive into the Board of Education functions and operations, and it's to do exactly what we're doing right now, to conduct the monthly business of the board meeting. So then we got to peel that back. What is the business of the board? MASB, whether you believe in the work of MASB, Michigan Association of School Boards, or you don't, this is the information that they put out. And I will share this. I'm not going to read every single line for time purposes, but I'm going to read the purple. Basically, business of the board, the functions and operations, is to hire and eval a superintendent. You did one of those already. Just hired a superintendent several months ago. Eval him in a few months, him or her. Establish policy. You'll see another one, policy and budget. Going to the fourth, reviews, adopts the budget. Heavy on budget. This is a curriculum one, policy and budget. The next one, policy and budget. As I send this to you, you'll see the theme. Everything is centered here around policy and budget. You continue on MASB's, what is the business of the board? What is the function and operations? It's policy, budget, policy, hire, eval, superintendent. So those are the themes that we're going to see throughout all of these. Now, maybe we don't like MASB. Maybe for whatever reason, MASB has guided us wrong in the past, which for those that don't know, MASB is an association that, I don't like the word oversees all school boards. They're there for a resource for all school boards. They have a lawyer on hand when you want to talk to them, they're there. They make a lot of policy decisions. They advocate in Lansing for us. There's someone that a school board can rely on when they need something. A lot of times free advice compared to legal counsel. So that's MASB. But some people don't always agree, and that's fine with what MASB has to say. So then let's just take a look at the Michigan School Code. This is what's in legislation. Adopt bylaws, that's policy. Hire, evaluate, contract with the superintendent and administrators. That's hire, eval, superintendent. We hit on some of this tonight. Adopt the budget, levy taxes, issue debt. There's budget and policy there because anytime we're doing that, there's policy and it's a budgetary connection. Moving on, maintain core academic curriculum. There's policy on curriculum that we need to offer, direct correlation to budget because curriculum costs money through human capital and physical capital. Ensure certified teaching staff in our hires, we do that, so that's policy and budget. And then exercise disciplinary authority. Hopefully we don't have those too often, but that's when you have your hearings, if you have a long-term suspension, expulsion, staff discipline, those type of things. Those are the ones we hope we can stay away from. So policy, budget, hire, fire, eval, superintendent, common theme there. Now we take a look at our very own policy here. We have policy 0122, board power. So maybe we don't like the Michigan Compiled Laws, maybe we don't like MASB. This is my working grounds. Anything and everything I'm going to do when it comes to decisions and recommendations and your professional advisor is going to be in policy. So you may not always like what I have to say. I'll say it with a smile and I'll try to put a good twist on it, but it's your policy. I'm recommending and I'm referring your policy to you. So you may not like this, and that's fine. We can have a workshop, and the good thing about a board is you can change any policy that you want. You can work with the superintendent on that. So even as we look at our very own policy, the same things align. Everything is heavy on policy, budget, and then, hire, fire, superintendent, budget, and policy. So again, I'll share this. I don't think for this conversation it's essential to get that deep in the weeds, unless at the end here there'll be a prompt. If you want me to, I will happy to do that in a follow-up. So with that, I kind of let the cat out of the bag already. What is the function and operation? That was our learning target. We meet as a board. The work that we do together should always be centered around policy, budget, and hire and eval the superintendent. So anytime we look at an agenda, we review things, have discussions here at a meeting, to the public as well, because a lot of times I know when I was a 22-year-old teacher, I had the board president come up to me and say, I'm so-and-so, Joe Smith, school board president. I didn't even know what a board president was, didn't even know there was a school board. It just wasn't my wheelhouse. I wanted to teach kids, get me in front of the kids. So we all come from different stages and different knowledge of what a board does in its existence and what it doesn't do. So it's just very important that we at least have a common understanding of why we're here. And it's policy, budget, hire, fire, eval, superintendent. There'll be a chance for questions at the end because this next piece kind of lumps with it. And we're doing pretty good on timeline. So again, I'm not going to read through all of this, but now this is the procedural part. So we had operation and functions. Now procedures is what we're doing right now. We're sitting at the Board of Education. How do we operate? What norms do we need to hash out? What can we agree upon pre-meeting, meeting, and post-meeting? So you know all this, but I can't give Erica enough credit. You guys have, me, all of us now, I don't say you guys anymore, all of us have an extreme abundance of knowledge historically and procedurally. So we're very fortunate to have an executive assistant that does a lot of this and has great systems in place. So that is one big check mark that the district has. But administration, we create a draft business of the board agenda that you saw in the back there. And this is not an exaggeration. Erica might look at me and say, are you crazy, Rob? It's more than that. This is 20 to 40 hours worth of time right here, at least. Maybe more, pending what the meeting is. This is a great deal of time to put this together, to get all the documents together. I know firsthand that's how much an average meeting agenda takes. So, that's a quarter of her monthly time spent on this, and she's hitting home runs with it. So typically for us, the executive assistant collaborates with superintendent, board president to create the agenda. I think this is very important to know for the community and for us at the table, that the board president, to my right now, any member can ask for something to be on the agenda, but the board president has to give the approval. That's the way the process works. That's the way our policy. I can't put anything on the agenda without getting the board president approval. So a board member, if you want something on the agenda, ask the board president and the board president will let you know. You can ask me, I can funnel it to him, or you can just go directly to him or her. So from there, superintendent will collaborate with the president on the agenda, get the approval. And here's where I need some feedback and make sure this is working or not working. Policy 0166 says 3 days prior to the meeting, which I'm taking that as Wednesdays. Don't count the weekends. You tell me. Is that working? I think, Erica, that's what we've been doing. Is that good? Does that need to be changed? Too late? Too soon? You tell me, does Wednesdays by the end of the business day work?
Yeah, that's been working.
Time to ask questions.
Yeah, yep. And if you can get to it early, sometimes you can't, but when you can, then you can, look through it. I take a couple looks at it, but the first one's like, hey, am I gonna have any questions here that I need to reach out for? So it gives us lots of time, I feel.
Perfect. If that changes, let us know. We can, because I'm a stickler, as you get to know me better, that when we send that agenda out, unless it's an emergency, it doesn't change. Because there's some people that may look at it when they didn't go to a meeting, if this was added, maybe I would have came, those type of things. So we really try to be diligent. Again, this is something I'm passionate about, that we cross our T's, dot our I's, have the agenda. Once we send it out and post it, we're done with it unless it's an emergent situation. So here, we mentioned the questions. That's my next piece. It's best practice that we have a deadline of, we set an expectation of when you'll reach out to the superintendent if you have any questions. And then you've seen my style by now. When I get questions from a board member, I'm going to give a response to everybody. That is standard practice in the world of superintendents. So I just threw a time up there because it doesn't matter to me. I work for the board. I will do what you want. But maybe it's Monday by noon is fine too. But right now, what I don't want to get into, and we'll get to in a minute, is I just need to know the questions before we get here. Because a lot of times when you get here and ask me the question, I may not be able to come up with the answer, and I want to be as efficient and effective as possible of everybody's time. And if I know a question beforehand, I'm going to try my darndest to find an answer to it. So that's the logic there of if we could have, I say loose because, hey, the fair's going on. I didn't get to the question in time. Understandable. But if we could kind of just have a norm of if there's questions on the agenda, we're going to reach out to Derek and or Rob, because I'll call Derek at that time. Well, if it's Friday at 11:59 p.m., I won't call him that late. I'll give him a call Saturday. I'll call him, hey, did you get any questions? I didn't get any questions either. So what works for this board as far as, hey, I had time to review the agenda. Here's questions I might have.
So questions on just the agenda when you send it out on Wednesday?
Yeah, so agenda.
Previously, previously at my time on the board, you could ask questions just about any time. Now granted, you might not get an answer beforehand, before the meeting then, depending on what time you asked it. So you're asking us to set a time to expect a response?
This is a great question, because I can tell I did a poor job setting this question up by the crickets. agenda-related questions. So not just any other question that doesn't have anything to do with the agenda. But like today, for example, let's say you had a question on the school bond loan revolving fund. So just any board-specific questions that we may be talking about here, not just general questions that come to you throughout the month. Those are different. Call anytime. But just board-specific agenda questions that you read through the agenda. I now have a question on the school bond loan revolving fund. I don't know what this is. Rob, help me out. I got to vote on $1.7 million. Rob and Mark, help me out. So yes, anything, great question, Derek. Anything just related to the agenda to make sure myself and the team comes as prepared as possible to answer questions on agenda items.
If we could, board, I think, I've had previous conversations with Rob in our one-on-one and how he just works personally. If it's available if the agenda's available Wednesday by 5 o'clock, that would give us roughly 3 nights after work to review the agenda. And I believe the board president should at that time, in that time frame, look and see if there's any questions and try to anticipate any questions. And then by Friday at midnight, or we call it 8 p.m., whatever it is, if there's any questions, they should reach out to the board president first and before going to the
So
administration.
just for clarification, you wouldn't receive it before Wednesday?
No, I would receive it the same time, and then as board president, as sitting board president, it'd be my responsibility to review the agenda and see if I had any questions or try to anticipate any questions someone might ask. So then that way I would reach out to Rob with those questions. And then that way I would have the information that if you're past this timeline here, you would reach out to me directly instead of to the team and bombarding them on a weekend.
I thought you would approve it before it gets to us.
No,
Has it always
yes.
been like that?
No, I would approve it, but then I would review the agenda as far as like the attachments and other items and such. But a part of approving the agenda, reviewing those things as well. So that way I can hopefully help with any questions. Does that work for everyone?
And I put Friday, 11:59 p.m. because I just thought end of the business day. I don't know what, end of the business day is different for everybody. So I'm good. It's by the end of the day Friday, if I have all questions, that gives me the weekend if need be, and then I got all day Monday. You know, I'm even, if you need more time, I can pull out a lot in 5 hours, even if it's Monday at noon. If it's a complex question, I may not be able to get an answer, but there's no doubt if by Friday we know what potential questions, and listen, I'm going to answer that question, other questions might arrive. That's fine. We can still come here and ask those questions. But if you have immediate questions, we want to give you the best answer possible versus saying, hey, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. That didn't help in making your decision.
It just would be nice for the expectation of you not to work on the weekend, but.
That's where I'm trying to get there. is
Yeah.
Protect the admin team's weekend.
You get a weekend.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And just because the question comes in, I may not be able to get an answer till Monday anyways, but it allows me to plan my Monday. Maybe I got to call Truan, maybe I got to call MASB, Neola, Ken ISD. So I appreciate that and I respect that because I cherish my weekends with my kids, but it allows me to plan my Monday. So
And what I would do is if I can't answer it, then I could send you an email over the weekend, and then when you can get to it on Monday, we can go from there. And I might be able to shed some light on a question, but not all of it.
Personally, I would think that if it's important enough to be on the agenda, there's pretty good knowledge base for what's being put on the agenda, that it wouldn't be that difficult, I wouldn't think, to come up with answers. If it is something really complex, I think we, as board members, should be understanding that it could take more time.
Speaking of more time, if we could add 59 seconds to 11:59, just to get that in right before midnight.
You betcha. So we'll stick to that norm as is, end of the day Friday. Very good. That just allows my team and I to plan accordingly. As stated, all questions I get will always go to the full Board of Ed with, it might not be immediate because I might have to find an answer, but any question I get, I report to the full Board of Ed. And I threw this up there because it frequently comes up and it has nothing to do with anybody missing a meeting in 6 months or one member missing today. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a fluke thing. But this is something that comes up at times in these, frequent flyer ones is, how many, I've had board members ask, how many board meetings a year do we have to attend, this or that? Well, that's not how it's worded. You're accountable to the voters. You're not accountable to me as a superintendent. You're not accountable to the president, vice president. The way the policy reads is Board of Ed members attend all regularly scheduled Board of Ed meetings insofar as possible. So you can infer that how you want. There's not a set number to it, but that comes up frequently. And I figured I'd put it in there because I know at some point in time someone will ask. Again, has nothing to do with anybody being here or not being here tonight. It's a common one because if you go back and probably look at the minutes, it's generally more common for 6 or 5 to be there than all 7. There's really, for boards, sometimes getting all 7 board members there for various reasons can be challenging. Maybe you guys have had better luck, but people have lives. And then policy 0143, authority. I think this is important as well, just to keep in the back of the mind. We have the conversations in here. Individual members of the board do not possess the powers that reside in the Board of Ed as a whole. The Board of Ed speaks through its minutes and not through its individual board members. And an additional policy, the board president is the official spokesman or spokesperson, where that's always a good norm to have down the road too, is if media ever does come to you and everybody's on the same page of, hey, I'm not speaking on behalf of the board right now. The board is the official spokesperson for the board. So not something we have to work through today, but just it's good to know that the minutes are your official spokesperson. That's why the speaking of is through the minutes. That's why we are required to post them. So as far as this, any questions on this? My big hitters on this one was establishing the timeline of when we send the agenda to make sure that was working for everybody, and then also just have a timeline of when questions come in so we can operate at a high level. Okay, now what you can expect from me, last slide, doing okay on time, but only 6 minutes over, but we've had great conversation, is, these are the frequent flyers. This is what you can expect from me, is, I'm going to serve as your professional advisor. That's what the policy states. Community, that's what the policy states. I'm the professional advisor. I'm not a voting member. I can give recommendations when asked, but most importantly, I will ensure that our practice aligns with our policy to the best of our ability with what we know at that time in that given moment. So, and I just put a few things in here because these are the frequent flyers that board members typically get, and we've already had some of these in our 21 days together that we've worked through very well together, I think. So I think it's important that all of us understand how public complaints work, the community as well. Per policy 9130, public complaints shall be referred to the superintendent. Superintendent is the one to deal with all public complaints, whether that comes in via email, maybe a private letter, phone calls would be a unique one, I suppose, but that could trickle to the superintendent from the board member. Superintendent would still follow up. So whatever method that complaint is, it comes to the superintendent. You have to have full faith in me that I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to update you on it, and I'm going to include you in the resolution of what it was. When we veer away from that practice, that's when we tend to get in some muddy water, and maybe the superintendent didn't even know about it and didn't get a chance to fix it. So that's a frequent flyer that comes up a lot, because my guess is you've all been board members long enough now, whether you're at the store or a gas station or a restaurant, somebody probably expresses a concern to you, maybe on a regular occasion or frequently or infrequently. It's good to know we have the common language of, hey, can you please let the superintendent know, email the superintendent, or hey, I'll tell the superintendent. However you want to handle that is fine. It has to hit my desk, and I assure you, it will be taken care of, and you've seen my standard protocol. You will always get a follow-up, usually in an email, but then also an attached letter that goes to that person that also lets the person know that the board is in loop with where this public complaint or public concern was at. 3112, board staff communications. This is another one that hit on a little bit this night. I had some one-on-one conversations with you. I can't change things that did or didn't happen in the past, but all communications to staff and from staff should funnel through the superintendent. So now, there's times you're going in being dad or mom in a building. You got to do that stuff. That's different. But staff members should not be reaching out to you on school matters, and board members should not be reaching out to staff members. It all funnels through me. Imagine that we're playing Rum and Cube. Is that the game? With a bunch of numbers. You probably would like that game. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or somebody know what I'm talking about? I just learned it, and numbers galore, not my thing. My 5-year-old daughter is beating me, but she broke out the hourglass. You know, imagine just, you know, that bottleneck of the hourglass, that everything has to funnel through the superintendent, and you have to have faith in me that I'm gonna get it done, and I will. So that communication, just make sure you funnel it through me. And I would respectfully ask too, I'm gonna have this very similar conversation with our administrative team, that you shouldn't be reaching out to board members if it's school business. That should come through me, and I'm gonna have that conversation with them. So I would ask, out of respect for you folks too, if you're getting that, just send them back to me and let me know. Don't know if that's been an issue or not, but that's just, it's so important. We have a strategic plan go for communication, so we have to make sure we have communication plans in place for everything, and that's one of them. Open Meetings Act, this is just a friendly reminder that, again, I sent out some messages. I'm not the judge and jury on this, but it's my job as your professional advisor just to remind you that we're under the Open Meetings Act microscope. So I always tell boards, be very careful with email. By legislation, you can email all board members. You cannot reply all. You could make an argument, it's not business of the board, but that's left for somebody who wants to file a complaint, who's ever gonna mediate that TK violated Open Meetings Act. And you don't even wanna go down that road, again, because there's really no need to, because I'm gonna relay that information. The first time I don't do that, you're welcome to call me out on it, because it's not gonna happen. I follow through on my job, and I have a lot of pride in the job that I do, and make sure we have a high-functioning board. So, I just be careful, the text, the deliberating, rendering decisions, FOIAs. Keep in mind your email's FOIAble, all those things that I'm sure you're well rehearsed on, but like I said, I'm 21 years into this, and I still learn how deep the FOIA. This is my personal cell phone. This is FOIAble. This can be FOIAble because I do work business stuff. This right here now, if it exists, is FOIAble, even handwritten notes. So basically everything in my world is FOIAble, and that's how I operate. And it's security knowing that, because there's no conspiracies going on or anything, so it's fine. But just be very careful. The best thing, if you have a question, come to me. I'll report it to the whole board. If you feel that you want to send it out to the whole board, please don't hit reply all, because at that point, you may be deliberating something on the agenda or something that might be on a future agenda, and that could be deemed as a violation of Board Meetings Act. So MASB and different institutions are gonna tell you the best practice is funnel it all through the superintendent. That's what you're hiring me to do, and I'll happily find the answers for you. So just be aware of that. Those type of things, we're under a microscope in this profession. And, you know, communication, you're gonna get instant reports. Haven't had a lot of that because school is not in session. You've seen the weekly reports. I'm happy for feedback on it. For me, it's important to align it to the strategic plan. You've seen that. You've seen the board member questions and answers to the best that I can give to you. And then all in all, you know, my goal, how I look at this, is to make sure when you pump gas, you go to a restaurant, you're at the soccer field, you don't hear something first there. You heard it from me. Now, in the world of social media, sometimes it's hard to keep up. Sometimes it's hard to get in front of it to U7 before you hear a little bit about it. But I guarantee by the end of the day, you'll have something on it. If it's something that talk of the town, and you could call my old board, and that was the orientation we had, is, hey, if anybody, the board members would say that, hey, if someone ever comes to you with something, asks about something, just check your email. Rob probably has an update. So that's my goal, just to get you inside my head of how I think of, I don't ever want to be surprised, and I don't want you to be surprised. So I'm hoping we can operate under the no surprise rule. We can have intimate conversations. You know, I happily work for the board. I'm going to give you all the information you want, and then you guys have the decision. But that's when we function at a really high level, is when there's no surprises. So that is what I have for that. This is, again, this is just that orientation stuff that in a perfect world, we would sit down with every board member, and to give you all an insight that it's going to be a while, I think, I hope, before any new board members are elected, just to know what that would look like, what we would go through, what that orientation looks like, and now we build it from here of what we add to it. So with that, again, this 30,000-foot view up, you know, I am happy to move forward with what additional Board of Education norms, if any, maybe not, maybe we're in a spot where let's ride out 6 months and see where we're at. You know, what do we need to work through, or what would be beneficial to have deeper conversations and discussions on at a future meeting or a future workshop? Like I said, we have Annie Engel, but I want to make sure we give him a purpose. I don't think our board needs generic. If we're going to pay the money, it's probably already been paid. Let's get the bang for our buck that we can. So you tell me what you need. I'm comfortable with intimate settings like this too, where we can work through things. So what, if anything, right now, or something we just circle back through next month?
I appreciate you taking the time to put that all together. I just need some more time to just go through it.
Certainly, I'll share it with you, everybody.
Yeah, Rob, this is absolutely fantastic in making sure that our first official meeting, we have a plan forward of how we want to interact with each other and such, and doing it in front of the public, so that way the public then understands, well, what's the expectations of us, what's our expectations of you in this relationship, but also, I think sometimes the community thinks, oh, that's a Board of Education member, and they think they're all powerful and such, and as you've clearly laid out here, one single board member is not any powerful than the next one. So that's fantastic. I do really appreciate, you've already sent some communications and attached some policies, just general out there, just throwing them out there. I think that is fantastic. And if we even start with reviewing some of the policies, I think that's also as well, it's really beneficial to me, or in your sharing your day-to-day and monthly run-throughs of what you're doing. And if some policies come up, just, hey, that's one that we can review with the board. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
I've forgotten what the date is that we have set up for a workshop with Andy. Does anybody know what that date is?
We do have a date in August, right? There's a date in August, I believe that Erica put on there.
Do you know, Erica?
August 18th.
The 18th?
Which, if that works, great. If we have, again, I want to give him, I want to meet with him beforehand and say, here's what we need to work on.
Yeah.
If we need to kick it back, there's not going to be a lot of superintendent searches Andy's going to be doing in the next couple of months. I don't think he'll have any problem coming, September, October, November.
Sure.
Whatever the board wants with that, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think right now, if we don't have an answer or direction for Rob, I think just emailing him and saying what we'd like to see, I think this is a great start. So, and again, my additional comments of whatever policies you're running into, I think would be very helpful as well.
I think it helps with, you said something about the Wednesday agenda. I think it helps all the communication that you do send out. It helps alleviate that as well, because then we kind of know what to expect.
Subsequent to any questions or comments, that probably does include my longest superintendent report in my time here at TK. That was 32 minutes, so we'll see. I don't think they'll be that long in the future.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate the thoroughness and everything you've gone through in your 21 days here. We're going to move on to board comments, and I guess I'll kick it off before opening it up to the floor. I want to really thank John Washburn, Megan Wonders, special thanks to Erica and Mark for all the work you guys did in the last couple months, but especially bringing Rob on board as quickly as you have. And thank you to Rob for all the personal time, I'm sure above and beyond, you've put in to get yourself up to speed as quickly as possible. That is very valuable to us, and that time was not wasted. So thank you so much for keeping us on the tracks, and hopefully a great kickoff to the school year here in 2 months. I'm sure you have a countdown, Rob.
2 months. 2 months.
Little long. All right, any other comments? All right, moving on. We need a motion to go into closed session. I'd like to entertain a motion to move into that closed session. A motion,
I motion that the Board of Education move into closed session for the purpose of strategy and negotiation related to collective bargaining.
Second.
motion by Stanton, second by Winger. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, we're moving into closed session. Thank you. Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break real quick, and then we'll come